DC here. Hi guys. Okay, so I'm in the train and decided to make a little video talking about one of the latest SpookyUniversity's topics about, I would call it virtual reality or virtual life. I think a lot of people really wonder about that at times. I mean, like, are we living like in a second dimension? Are we living out something that's not actually true? You've probably all had that feeling, you know, where you think like, am I going to wake up out of a nightmare? And is this a nightmare? Or is this something else? You know, you've probably had that funny tingling feeling sometimes in your limbs where you kind of wonder, you know, like, well, is this real? Am I really going through this? Usually it's things that happens in moments of shock or, I don't know, moments of intense fatigue, so on. I think that there certainly is something there at a point where we kind of wonder, you know, is this real life? I mean, but then again, I mean, to be very frank, it's not something that I've really thought of that much, because I mean, in the sense is that it's, you know, I mean, you're overtaken by the responsibilities and everything. You just kind of have to put your head down and push on. But you know, sometimes after these really hard days at work or something, you have this out of the body almost, I would say, experience where you just kind of let it all go, relax, and really up to a point kind of wish, you know, that it was not true. I'm thinking about the Truman Show. I mean, if you haven't seen that movie, actually, as Claire was saying, you should go and see it. But there's one thing certainly about the show, is that at one point he realizes that his picture-perfect world just can't be. And that's where the difference is. I mean, we don't live in a picture-perfect world, I mean, do we? So, I mean, I'm a bit having problems here with this virtual reality thing. I mean, have you ever gone actually on the internet site called Second Life? Actually, I tried that once just to see what it looked like. And I actually found it really, in a way, pretty boring. But a lot of people actually, you know, really get into that really heavily. And then actually there is, I would say, a virtual life, and one of them is true and one of them isn't. And to be very frank, it doesn't automatically mean the real one is real. I think you actually then, or for some people, you're actually really living in the second one. What is our virtual life? Are we having a virtual life on YouTube? At times I kind of think so, because I mean, you know, very few people actually do have the chance to meet up with the people that they chat with all the time. So this life, which actually becomes very important, isn't really one. It's in another dimension, isn't it? It's called cyberspace. So maybe we do live parallel lives. I think a lot of us do, actually. Now, what is this question of parallel life again? I mean, if you think about it, some of us, I mean, I think myself up to a point, I mean, have different components in my personality, different ways of acting, which means actually, depending on who I'm with, maybe I'm living a different life. I mean, at work, you know, I mean, it's one way of acting, one way of being a person, and at home it's actually something else. And even here, I mean, I'm on the train right now, you know, what I almost call my relaxation mode. And yeah, I mean, up to now, nobody's been looking at me right now and saying, oh, there's that idiot again, you know, with his camera. But, you know, it is virtual lives. It's parallel dimensions, actually. Some of you probably, at least people of my age, have probably read a lot of comic books. And you know how it is. I mean, there was like these World 1, World 2, Before Crisis, After Crisis series in the DC. Oh, you see DC? I didn't actually think of it all of a sudden, but that's where my name came unconsciously. The DC Comics, actually, where you know, like you had different dimensions, and sometimes when these worlds touch in these comic books, actually the people actually tend to see one another. And that's an out-of-the-body experience at a point, I mean, where you kind of actually meet somebody who is you, has your body, but at the same time isn't quite you. And that's maybe how we feel sometimes. You've probably had that as well when your different worlds, your different spheres meet together. I mean, like, take for example when you're in a situation where your workmates, for whatever reason, happen to meet some other people of another circle in your life, and they start comparing notes. And then they realize that, hey, is there two people there? Is this the same one? I had these type of situations once or twice actually, and it can be, depending on the situation, actually quite unpleasant. And on the other hand, sometimes it can be quite quite good for your morale. I was in one situation actually where I was in a workshop, and I quite like theater. And okay, we're coming to a train station now. And there was some theater. It was actually in the workshop, and I like doing theater, but nobody actually knew this. They thought I was, I don't know, they probably thought I was a boring person. I don't know. Anyway, and so I did this theater, and since then, some of these people, all of a sudden realized that I can actually be more interesting than they thought. Well, anyway, I think that's I'm getting to where I want to get in this talk. Is that we all have our parallel worlds. We're actually, in one sense, in some of them we do live, and in some of them we don't. Do you see what I mean? I mean, in one parallel world, you might be Mr. and Mrs. Great, and in the other one, you're Mr. and Mrs. Humble, and the other one, you're just nobody. And actually, one doesn't actually exist for the other. I don't know. Does it make any sense? I guess I should probably keep on thinking about it, but I guess, the Truman Show, well, maybe it's actually not so far away from reality. Think about it. Do we all live our own Truman shows? Are we somebody's Truman? Anyway, that's DC signing off. Take care.